Let's begin with the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory. This is how we break it down. Chapter 1. The Architect of Volatility, where chaos reveals its blueprints. Volatility is not chaos. It is architecture. For most people, the markets are a storm, unpredictable, violent, unforgiving. But for those who understand the deeper structure, for those who can see the hidden geometry beneath the noise, volatility becomes a map, a blueprint, a living system revealing its intentions in every expansion, every contraction, every violent spike of liquidity. I didn't learn this from textbooks. I learned it from the lineage of minds who saw the market not just as numbers, but as behavior. Jesse Livermore, Dr. David Paul, Tom Hogarth, and ultimately, through decades of my own personal analysis, I forged the synthesis that binds their insight into a single unified framework, the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory. But before the theory existed, before the architecture revealed itself, I had to confront the same illusions that every trader faces every single day. People think that volatility is random. They think that price movements are unpredictable. They think that the market is a battlefield ruled by luck. They are so goddamn wrong. Volatility is the purest expression of human behavior. Fear expands it. Greed accelerates it. Hesitation compresses it. Euphoria distorts it. And history, as always, repeats it. Look at any major event in market history. The 1929 collapse, the Black Monday crash of '87, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 financial crisis, the pandemic meltdown of 2020. And you will see the same structural rhythms repeating across time. Expansion, contraction, breakdown, reversal. Accumulation, distribution, reaccumulation, and continuation. These are not coincidences. They are fingerprints of human psychology. Livermore saw it first. He recognized that markets move because people move. He understood that price action is simply the collective mind of the crowd made visible. He saw that the emotional cycles, the panic, the greed, the hesitation, he saw all of these long before anyone had any language to describe them. But Livermore didn't have the tools that we have today. He didn't have the computational power. He didn't have the fractal mathematics. He did not have the volatility modeling. All he had was his own personal instinct. And instinct alone is not enough. Dr. David Paul brought the science. He showed me personally that the mind is the battlefield, that traders lose not because of strategy, but because of cognitive distortion, bias, fear, impulse, overconfidence. And that is a major factor here, people. Overconfidence, emotional anchoring. And he taught me that pattern recognition is a neurological skill, one that can be trained, sharpened, and then weaponized. But even psychology is not enough to execute with aggression, to strike with precision in the heart of volatility. You need something more. You need the mindset of a warrior. Tom Hogarth taught me that trading is not about charts. It's about endurance. It's about conviction. It's about the ability to hold strength and cut weaknesses without hesitation. That means cut your losses. The ability to embrace that discomfort, the ability to scale into momentum when everyone else is afraid. And when I combined Livermore's structure with Dr. Paul's psychology and Hogarth's crazy, outstanding, ferocious mindset, something extraordinary happened to me. The architecture revealed itself. The market was no longer a storm. It was a system, a fractal organism, a predictable sequence of emotional and structural behaviors repeating across every time frame. And that realization became the foundation of the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory. Yeah, that is definitely a mouthful, but trust me, it took me a long time to figure it out, people. This is a framework built on 3 pillars: structure, psychology, and risk. 3 forces that govern every market move. You don't believe it? Try it. One more time: structure, psychology, and risk. 3 forces that govern every market move. 3 dimensions that interact in a continuous feedback loop. 3 lenses that reveal the blueprint of volatility. In this chapter, I am not here to teach you strategies. I am not here to give you indicators. I am here to show you the architecture, the underlying truth, the hidden geometry that governs every chart, every candle, every spike of volatility. Because once you see that blueprint, you could never unsee it again. Chapter 2, the fractal engine, where history repeats with surgical precision. If Chapter 1, I revealed the architecture, then this chapter reveals the engine, the fractal engine, the mechanism that drives every market cycle, every volatility spike, every breakout, every collapse. The mechanism that traders ignore because they do not understand it. Most people think that history repeats because of coincidences. They think that patterns reappear because markets look similar. They think that technical analysis is a matter of lines, shapes, and indicators. But they are so wrong. History repeats because human behavior repeats itself. And human behavior repeats because fear and greed are fractal. Look closely. The 1929 collapse, the 1987 crash, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 meltdown, the pandemic shock of 2020. Different eras, different catalysts, different technologies, and of course, different traders. The same structure: expansion, compression, break, retest, continuation, failure, reversal. This is the fractal engine at work. When I first discovered this, I didn't trust it. I couldn't believe my eyes. It felt too clean, too precise, too perfect. So I tested it over and over and over again. I ran thousands of historical simulations. I dissected every major volatility event that I could get my hands on. I mapped every expansion cycle across every time frame, from the 1-minute chart to the monthly chart, and the deeper I went, the more undeniable it became. The market is a fractal organism. It breathes, it expands, it contracts, it repeats. Not because of randomness, but because of human emotion, which is recursive. Fear doesn't change. Greed, of course, we all know does not change. And hesitation doesn't change. Euphoria doesn't change. Only the charts change. This is why Livermore's insight still works today. This is why Dr. Paul's psychology still applies today. And this is why Hogarth's mindset still dominates. Because the engine has not changed. Only the speed of the machine has. And let me reiterate that of my gods, only Hogarth is still alive. And God bless him. Modern markets move at algorithm velocity. Liquidity evaporates in milliseconds. If you're a trader, you would know that so well. Volatility detonates without warning. Breakouts fail faster. Reversals hits harder. Momentum ignites instantly, but the fractal engine always remains the same. This is where most traders fail. You and me. We have all failed at this. We all look at one time frame or multiple time frames or one chart, one signal. We don't understand that the market is a multi-layered organism. A hierarchy of fractal structures stacked one on top of each other. The 1 minute chart is not separate from the daily chart. The daily chart is not separate from the weekly chart. The weekly chart is not separate from the monthly chart. They're all reflections of the same emotional cycles, playing out at different speeds. This is why the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory begins with structure. Because structure is the skeleton of the market, the framework, the blueprint, and the fractal engine is the heartbeat. When we all begin to understand this fractal engine, we stop guessing, we stop reacting, we stop chasing, we stop anticipating. You and me need to see the expansion before it happens. We need to see the compression before it tightens. We need to see the breakout before it ignites. We need to see the failure before it collapses, because the engine reveals the sequence. And once you understand that sequence, you can start executing with surgical precision. This is where the aggressive entries come from. This is where the high probability exists come from. This is where the maximum profits setups become live. Not in crappy ass indicators. Don't pay attention to those people who tell you about indicators, point towards indicators. Not in their shitty ass predictions. And stop hoping. It's in structure. It's in psychology. It's in fractal repetition. This is the engine that powers the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory. This is the mechanism that turns chaos into clarity. This is the blueprint that transforms volatility into opportunity. Chapter 3. The Psychological War, where the mind breaks before the market does. Before a trader loses to the market, they lose to themselves. They lose to fear, greed, hesitation, euphoria, denial, and revenge. These are not emotions. These are weapons. And the market uses them with surgical precision. Most traders think that they are fighting the price. They think that they are fighting volatility. They think that they are fighting the chart. They are wrong. We are wrong. Trust me, I have been there. We are fighting our own psychology. Now, this is where Dr. David Paul enters into the architecture of my theory. He understands that something that most of us traders never realize. that the mind breaks long before the market does. He taught me exclusively that every trader carries a psychological blueprint, a set of cognitive biases that distort perception, sabotage execution, and destroy discipline. Loss aversion, confirmation bias, recency bias, emotional anchoring, and of course, what we all have, that crazy overconfidence, that impulse. These biases are not flaws, they are defaults. They're hardwired in us. They are predictable. And of course, that's what the market wants. They are exploitable. The market doesn't want to punish bad strategy. It punishes bad psychology. Think about it. A trader sees a breakout forming. Their analysis is correct. Their structure is aligned. Their timing is absolutely perfect. Of course, everybody thinks their timing is perfect. But then there's the fear that whispers, what if it fails? And we hesitate. That move ignites without us getting into that chase, that trade. So we chase it and we enter it into late. And of course, then we start to panic and we exit early. And then we watch the trend as it runs without us. The market did not beat them. Their mind beat them. Now, we must consider the opposite. A trader catches a strong move. Momentum is in their favor. Structure is aligned. Everything is perfect. But greed whispers, hold on a little longer. They ignore the reversal. They ignore the structural shift. They ignore the fractal compression. The market snaps back. Their profit evaporates. Their conviction collapses. Their discipline breaks. Again, the market didn't break them. The market didn't break you. The market didn't break me. Our minds did. This is why psychology is the second pillar of the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory. Because structure without psychology is useless. So use your charts. You want to use your charts all day long? Go on your YouTube channels and watch these useless channels teach you how to use your charts and waste your time? Make them money. Go right ahead. You're wasting your time. Because structure without psychology is useless. Precision without discipline is dangerous. How much money do you have in your account? Because I know I count every penny in mine. Aggression without emotional control is fatal. Dr. Paul taught me that the mind can be trained. That discipline is not a personality trait. It is a cognitive skill. He taught me that pattern recognition is not intuition. It is a neurological conditioning. You want me to repeat that for you? He taught me that pattern recognition is not intuition. It is neurological conditioning. How's that sound for you guys? He taught me that emotional control is not suppression. It is awareness. But even that was not enough for me. Because knowing my psychology, knowing our psychology, is not the same as conquering it, is it? This is where the most radical of them all, Tom Hogarth, enters the architecture. Now this guy, Tom Hogarth, he's a badass. Hogarth didn't teach me how to trade. God damn, he didn't. God damn, he's a badass. He taught me how to endure. He taught me that trading is not a technical profession. Hogarth is not a trader of just charts. He taught me that it's a psychological war. Hogarth taught me that discomfort is not a signal to exit, it's a signal to grow. He taught me that conviction is not confidence, it is commitment. He taught me that the ability to hold strength is the dividing line between mediocrity and mastery. Hogarth showed me that the market rewards those who can endure emotional pressure, those who can hold through volatility, those who can scale into momentum, those who can cut weakness instantly, those who can detach from the noise. Hogarth taught me that the trader who cannot endure discomfort cannot endure success. This is why psychology is not a soft skill. It is not optional. It is not secondary. It is the battlefield. And if you lose a psychological war, you will lose every trade that follows. Because when you combine Dr. Paul's cognitive science with Hogarth's warrior's mindset, something extraordinary happens. The mind becomes an instrument, a weapon, a precision tool. Fear becomes information. Greed becomes a signal. Discomfort becomes a compass. Conviction becomes strategy. This is the psychology engine of the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory. The engine that allows you to execute with aggression, without losing control of yourself, to strike with precision, without hesitation, to hold strength without fear. This is the psychological engine of the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory. The engine that allows you to execute with aggression without losing control, to strike with precision without hesitation, to hold strength without fear. Chapter 4. The risk architecture, where survival is engineered, not hoped for. Every trader wants a reward. Almost none of us understand the risk. We chase entries, we chase the breakouts, we chase the momentum, we chase the profit. Of course, we chase that profit. But we never ask the only question that matters. What is the cost of being wrong? Risk is not a number. Risk is not a percentage. Risk is not a stop loss. Risk is architecture. Most traders treat risk like a fire extinguisher, something that they reach only when everything is already burning. But in the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory, risk is the first decision, the foundation, the structural pillar that determines survival long before the trade is ever placed. Livermore understood this. He knew that the market punishes the undisciplined. He knew that the trader who risks too much dies quickly, and the trader who risks too little dies slowly. But Livermore didn't have the tools to formalize risk. He felt it. He sensed it. He reacted to it. I engineered it. Risk-tiered architecture. A dynamic system that adapts to volatility, liquidity, structural alignment, and psychological state. A system that determines when to strike, when to scale, when to reduce, when to stand aside, and most importantly, when to attack with full aggression. That's a shout out to you, Tom. Trader Tom, love you. Most traders think that risk is about avoiding loss. You're so wrong. You guys are all wrong. Risk is about controlling exposure to uncertainty. In volatile markets, uncertainty is not the enemy. Uncertainty is the opportunity. But only if you can survive it. The Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory, is that a mouthful for you? Huh? Because it is for me. Uses a 3-layer risk model. Remember this and write this down. Pause your YouTube channel, please, and write this down. Layer 1, structural risk. The risk embedded in the chart itself. Trend strength, volatility compression, liquidity pockets, breakout probability, reversal probability. Layer 2, psychological risk. Are you writing this down? Did you put this on pause? You're not wasting my time. I'm doing this for you. Layer 2, psychological risk. The risk embedded in the trader. Fear, greed, hesitation, overconfidence. How many times have we all been overconfident and we lost that money and we don't tell anybody that we lost that money? Huh? How many times have we done that? How many times have we not told someone that we lost that trade because we were too embarrassed, too afraid to admit that we were too greedy? Overconfidence, emotional fatigue. Layer 3, execution risk. The risk embedded in timing, entry precision, exit discipline, scaling strategy, position sizing. When these 3 layers align, risk becomes a weapon. This is where aggressive trading becomes safe. You want me to repeat that for you? Let me repeat that for you, please. This is where aggressive trading becomes safe. This is where high velocity entries become controlled. This is where volatility becomes predictable. Is that possible? You're asking yourself, is this guy talking out of his ass? This is where high volatility becomes predictable? Yes, this is where profit becomes scalable, because risk is no longer reactive. It is engineered. Most traders blow up because they treat risk like a seatbelt, something they only think about after the crash. But in my system, risk is the chassis, the frame, the skeleton of the entire vehicle. Without it, nothing stands. This is why the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory is not a strategy. It is not a method. It is not a set of rules. I'm not telling you how to trade, what to do, how to make money. I'm not telling you you're going to make money from this strategy. This is a set of architecture, a living system that adapts to volatility, a framework that evolves with the market, a structure that protects the trader from themselves, from yourselves, from ourselves. Stop paying attention to those bullshit traders online trying to sell you something with a commercial in between their videos. Because the truth is simple. You cannot control the market. You can only control your exposure to it. And when you control exposure with precision, then you can control the outcome. This is the third pillar of the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory. Once again, another mouthful. Trust me, I'm having a hard time reading this myself. The pillar that ensures survival. The pillar that transforms aggression into strategy. The pillar that turns volatility into opportunity. Risk is not fear. Risk is not limitation. Risk is not restraint. Risk, our risk together, is the architecture of power. Chapter 5, the entry point, where precision strikes and momentum obeys. Every trader wants the perfect entry. Almost none understand what it truly is. The perfect entry is not a guess. It is not a feeling. It is not a reaction. The perfect entry is a convergence. A moment where structure, psychology, and risk align with surgical precision. Most traders chase entries. They jump in because the chart looks goddamn good. They enter because the candle is green. They enter because they fear missing out. They enter because they are reacting. But in the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory, entries are engineered. The first rule of precision entries: the market does not reward early. The market does not reward late. The market rewards aligned. Alignment is everything. To engineer the perfect entry, 3 conditions must converge. 1. Structural alignment. The fractal engine must be synchronized across time frames. The trend must be clean. The volatility cycle must be predictable. The liquidity pockets must be visible. The compression must be ready to release. This is where Livermore's legacy lives. He understood that price does not move randomly. Livermore understood that it moves when structure demands it. Number 2, psychological alignment. Your mind must be neutral. Not euphoric, not fearful, not impulsive. And here we are with Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul taught me that the trader's emotional state is part of the setup. If your psychology is misaligned, your entry is compromised. Then what do you do? Number 3, risk alignment. The risk architecture must be stable. Position sizing must be precise. Stop placement must be structural. Exposure must be controlled. And back to Trader Tom. My boy, Trader Tom. Hogarth taught me that aggression without discipline is suicide. But aggression with structure is dominance. When these 3 align, the entry becomes inevitable. This is the moment that most traders miss, not because they can't see it, but because they don't understand it. They see only the breakout. They see only the momentum. They see only the opportunity, but they don't see the architecture behind it. The perfect entry is not the candle. It is the conditions that created that candle. This is why the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory is so powerful. It doesn't chase price. It doesn't anticipate structure. It doesn't react to volatility. It harnesses it. It doesn't guess. It engineers. The perfect entry is the moment when volatility compresses, liquidity pools, momentum coils, psychology stabilizes, risk aligns, structure confirms, and the fractal engine signal ignitions. I'll repeat that if you can't understand me, because it's not that complicated. And the fractal engine signals ignition. This is the moment where the trader becomes the architect, not a participant, not an observer, an architect. This is where the aggressive bullish strategy becomes unstoppable, because aggression without precision is chaos. But aggression with precision is inevitability. The perfect entry is not luck. It It is not intuition. It's not hope. It's the intersection of structure, psychology, and risk. It is the moment where the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory converges. It is the moment where the market reveals its intention. Always understand the market will reveal its intention. The market is naked to you, and you strike with absolute conviction. This is the fifth chapter of the architecture, the chapter where precision becomes power, the chapter where volatility becomes opportunity, the chapter where the trader becomes the engineer of their own momentum. Chapter 6. The exit strategy, where profits are captured and weakness is executed. Anyone can enter into a trade. Only the elite know how to exit. Most traders obsess over entries. They chase the perfect moment to strike. They hunt for the candle, that perfect breakout, that perfect signal. But they forget the truth. Entries build potential. Exits realize it. A brilliant entry with a weak exit is a wasted opportunity. A mediocre entry with a perfect exit is a profitable trade. This is the paradox of trading. And this is where the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory becomes unstoppable. The market does not reward hope. Stop hoping. Stop wasting your time on those useless YouTube videos. The market does not reward hesitation. The market does not reward greed. The market rewards execution. Do your due diligence. Execution is the art of knowing when strength ends and when weakness begins. To engineer the perfect exit, three forces must converge. Number 1, structural exhaustion. The fractal engine reveals when momentum is dying. Volatility shifts. Liquidity thins. Compression returns. The trend loses oxygen. Livermore understood this intuitively. He knew that every trend has a lifespan and that overstaying is fatal. Number 2, psychological neutrality. Your mind must be detached, not euphoric from profit, not fearful of giving it back, not greedy for more. Dr. David Paul taught me that the exit is where psychology collapses because profit distorts perception. It blinds, it seduces, it whispers lies. Number 3, risk-based finality. The risk architecture must dictate the exit. Not emotion, not hope, not impulse. Hogarth taught me that the exit is not a suggestion, it is a command. When the structure shifts, you exit. When the risk changes, you exit. When the psychology destabilizes, you exit. No hesitation, no negotiation, no mercy. The perfect exit is not a moment, it is a decision. By the way, it's your decision. Most traders exit too early because they fear losing profit. Most traders exit too late because they crave for more. Don't we always crave for that more? That couple of dollars more because it cost us that trade to go and make that extra couple of dollars? Both are psychological failures. Both are structural failures. Both are risk failures. The perfect exit is the moment where, and please, let's underline what I'm about to tell you. The perfect exit is the moment where momentum fractures, volatility shifts, liquidity evaporates, structure weakens, psychology stabilizes, risk demands finality. This is the moment where the architect steps in. Not the gambler, not the dreamer, not the emotional trader, but the architect. The architect exits with precision. The architect exits with discipline. The architect exits with clarity. Because the architect understands the truth. Profit is not made at entry. Profit is secured at entry. This is why the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory is so powerful. It doesn't just engineer trades or entries. It engineers exits. It doesn't just identify opportunity. It protects it. It doesn't just build potential. It captures it. The exit is the final expression of mastery, the moment where structure, psychology, and risk converge into a single decision. The moment where the trader proves that they are not controlled by the market, but in control of themselves. This is the 6th chapter of the architecture, the chapter where profit becomes real, the chapter where discipline becomes power, the chapter where the architect completes the cycle. Chapter 7. The Alfiero Holy Trinity Synthesis Theory, where all forces converge into a single system of dominance. This is the moment everything converges. The moment where the architecture becomes whole. The moment where the trader stops being a participant and becomes the engineer of the market's momentum. For decades, traders have tried to master the market by focusing on fragments. One learns structure, another learns psychology, another learns risk, another learns execution. But fragments do not create mastery. Fragments create confusion. Mastery comes from synthesis. The Alfiero Holy Trinity Synthesis Theory is not a strategy. It is a method. It is not a set of rules. It is a unified system, a fusion of 3 forces that govern every market move: structure, psychology, and risk. Individually, each pillar is powerful. Together, they are unstoppable. The first pillar, structure. The fractal engine, the blueprint of volatility, the architecture of price. Structure reveals when volatility will expand, when compression will break, when momentum will ignite, when reversals will detonate, when liquidity will shift. Structure is the skeleton of the market. The second pillar, psychology. The battlefield of the mind, the war between fear and discipline, the science of emotional control. Psychology reveals when fear distorts perception, when greed sabotages discipline, when hesitation destroys timing, when conviction becomes clarity, when discomfort becomes opportunity. Psychology is the engine of execution. The third pillar, risk. The architecture of survival, the framework of exposure, the system that protects the trader from themselves. Risk reveals when to strike, when to scale, when to reduce, when to stand aside, and when to attack with aggression. Risk is the shield and the sword. The true power of the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory is in the pillar themselves. It is in their convergence. When structure aligns with psychology, clarity emerges. When psychology aligns with risk, discipline emerges. When risk aligns with structure, precision emerges. And when all of the three align, then dominance emerges. This is the moment where the trader becomes the architect. The moment where volatility becomes predictable. The moment where entries become surgical. The moment where exits become inevitable. The moment where profit becomes engineered. This is the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory, a system built on Livermore's structural genius, Dr. Paul's psychological science, and Hogarth's warrior mindset. Now this is where I'm going to stop and tell you, create your own scripts based on my theory. Push the envelope. Be your own architect. Utilize AI and create your own script based on my theory and put it online to help us all. My own fractal-based volatility driven on architecture, a system formed through decades of historical analysis. My system is refined through thousands of hours of chart study. A shout out to you, Trader Tom. A system engineered for modern volatility. A system designed for aggressive, bullish, precision-driven execution. This is not a strategy for the average trader. This is not a system for the hesitant. This is not a framework for the fearful. This is a system for those who want to dominate, for those who want to lead, for those who want to engineer their own momentum, for those who want to operate at the highest level of market intelligence. The Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory is not about predicting the market. I am not trying to tell you how the market is predicted. I'm not trying to tell you that you're going to make money. I'm trying to explain about how we could understand it. It's about reading its architecture. It's about anticipating its behavior. It's about aligning with its rhythm. Because when you align with the market's architecture, you stop fighting it, you stop fearing it, you stop chasing it, and you begin to shape it. This is the 7th chapter of the architecture. The chapter where the trader becomes the architect. The chapter where my Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory becomes a living system. This is the synthesis. This is the convergence. This is the power. Chapter 8, The Ascension, where the architect rises and the market bends. This is the final chapter, the moment where everything converges, the moment where the architecture becomes identity. For years, traders have searched for certainty, for the perfect strategy, for the perfect indicator, for the perfect moment. But certainty does not exist in the market. Only architecture does. The Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory is not a shortcut. It is not a trick. It is not a secret. It is a transformation of how you see the market, a transformation of how you see volatility, a transformation of how you see yourself. Structure, psychology, risk. 3 forces, 3 pillars, 3 dimensions. But when they converge, they create something greater. They create the architect. The architect is not a trader. A trader reacts. A trader hopes. A trader fears. A trader chases. But the architect designs. The architect sees the blueprint beneath the chaos. The architect anticipates the expansion before it ignites. The architect senses the compression before it tightens. The architect recognizes the reversals before it detonates. The architect does not follow the market. The architect reads it. The architect shapes it. The architect aligns with it. The architect does not fear volatility. Volatility is not a danger. Volatility is not chaos. Volatility is not uncertainty. Volatility is information. Volatility is opportunity. Volatility is the purest expression of human behavior, and the architect thrives on it. The architect does not guess. The architect executes with precision, with discipline, with conviction. Entries are engineered. Exits are calculated. Risk is controlled. Psychology is mastered. Structure is understood. And this is not trading. This is orchestration. The architect does not break. Most traders collapse under pressure. We all know that. I've been there. You have been there. Most traders collapse under pressure. They fold under volatility. They panic under uncertainty. They crumble under emotion. You're stressed. You're having a hard time. You can't take it. How many trades can I take against me? But the architect endures, because the architect is built on structure, fueled by psychology, protected by risk. The architect does not fear the storm. The architect designs the storm. The ascension. This is the moment where the trader becomes something more, where the student becomes the strategist, where the strategist becomes the architect. This is the moment where the Alfredo Holy Trinity synthesis theory becomes a living system inside of you, every trader. Make this theory better. Put your scripts in there. Do it for all of us. This is where my theory and my structure becomes your instinct, where psychology becomes clarity, where risk becomes power. This is the ascension. This is the elevation, the transformation, the moment where you stop surviving the market and you begin mastering it. The moment where volatility stops intimidating you and starts obeying you. The final word. You are not here to follow. You are not here to chase. You are not here to hope. You are the architect. To engineer, to dominate. This is the Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory. This is the architecture of volatility. This is the blueprint of mastery. And this is only the beginning. My final words to you in closing. The Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory. In the end, the market is not a mystery. And trust me, we all know that it's not a mystery. The market's a bitch. The market is a mirror. It reflects structure. It reflects psychology. It reflects risk. It reflects us, does it not? Most traders spend their lives fighting the market. And that's the absolute truth of retail traders. But the truth is very simple. You cannot conquer the market until you conquer yourself. The Alfiero Holy Trinity synthesis theory is not a shortcut. I'm not trying to give you guys a $1 million message. You're not going to make $1 million based on my theory. What I want you to do is utilize my theory, use AI, and create new theories based on my theory. My theory is not a trick. It's not a promise. It's not a transformation. It's how you think. This is a transformation of how you build your future trading and how you execute it. How you endure. How you rise. Volatility is not chaos. Volatility is architecture. And once you see the blueprint, you can never unsee it. This is your evolution, your ascension, your moment. You are no longer a participant. You are no longer a follower. You are no longer a trader. You are now the architect. Thank you, and please be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. I appreciate you being here, and God bless.